Often students are wondering if they should do their honors next or do CIMA or an MBA. They want to be sure that CIMA is the right career choice for them. The truth is that CIMA isn't necessarily for everyone. CIMA combines business and finance, much like an MBA and psycho rolled into one. Generally, the rule that I follow is that if you like tax and auditing, then CIMA is not for you. If you enjoy business, performance, costs, then it could be right for you. A large part of financial accounting is looking backwards and dealing with transactions that have happened in the past, whereas management accounting is looking forward, dealing with budgets, forecasts, pricing, future risk, and strategy.
Another reason to study CIMA is also that it's a professional qualification. You get an actual designation, the letter CGMA behind your name, versus an academic qualification where you are awarded a diploma or a degree. I feel that a professional qualification offers you more opportunities and better value for money spent on studying.
Yes. Also, CIMA is respected and well-known qualification across the globe. You can work around the world or right here for a global company. It's a very, very portable qualification. In fact, 95% of the world's top brands employ CGMAs, and this means you are immensely employable.
Muzi, I'm going to just go on to potential roles over here. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So if you were to look at some of the potential roles, this is a good example because it gives a nice view of what you could do as a CGMA. You see the C-suite roles, but also the non-financial roles, even roles such as marketing manager and strategic planning manager. And you see the finance roles from analyst all the way to financial controller. And then, of course, there are also the consulting roles.
You know, Muzi, my previous boss was a CGMA and he started as an accountant. Then he became the financial manager, then the CFO, and then he took operations under his wing. Then he pivoted to the marketing department and headed up the new business side of the business, which took him into Africa. He then returned to South Africa as the CEO. That's a full journey on the back of his CGMA designation.
That's really, really impressive. And I really like that example quite a bit.
Let's have a look now at the CIMA qualification. The entry route to the professional qualification is an open entry certificate level. The professional qualification consists of 3 levels and 3 pillars. The pillars are the enterprise pillar, which is business, the performance pillar, and the financial pillar, which is the classic accounting. The enterprise pillar looks at business models, management of people, and projects. This is where the strategy is formulated. The performance pillar or the P pillar is the heart of CIMA. You will use your management, accounting, and risk management skills to ensure that the strategy developed in E is realistic and to monitor its implementation. It deals with costs, budgets, pricing, capital expenditure, and managing performance. Here you focus a lot on risk. You learn how to progressively identify, classify, evaluate, and manage risk. The financial pillar, or the F pillar, focuses on financial accounting and reporting obligations of the organization. This includes regulatory framework and external reporting requirements. You are taught how to construct and evaluate complex financial statements to show the financial business and performance of the organization. Here you deal with business tax and the tax implications of financing decisions. And here you assess the risk identified in the performance pillar. Muzi, maybe you can talk us through the subjects a bit. What can we expect in each subject?
Well, Vanessa, if we start off at the certificate level, in BA1, there you'll deal with your macro and microeconomics. BA2 deals with costing, planning, and control. This is really the introduction to management accounting. BA3 is a standard recording of financial transactions, preparing accounts, analyzing financial statements. Here it's really assumed that you've got very little financial background. BA4 deals with company administration, CSI, and legal things like employment contracts. Once you pass all of these subjects, you get the certificate in business accounting, which is an NQF level 5 qualification. When we move on to the operational level, there we see E1. That covers big data, shared services, and also the traditional business functions, such as your sales, marketing, HR, operations, and IT. P1, here you really get into it, dealing with manufacturing, things like marginal costing, absorption costing, budgeting and pricing, break-even analysis, as well as probability distributions. F1 has cash flow, inventory days, payables, receivables, tax, and preparing financial statements. Once you pass all of these subjects, you write your operational case study, and then you get your CIMA diploma in management accounting, and that is an NQF 6. Once we move on to the management level, in E2, you'll see things such as your business models, project management, and managing people, like your health and safety and negotiation strategies. P2 deals with managing costs, activity-based management, just-in-time, KPIs such as your liquidity, profitability, and ROI, as well as risk and control. In F2, you'll deal with preparing your group accounts and IFRS standards, as well as integrated reporting. Once you pass all of these subjects, you then write your management case study and get your CIMA Advanced Diploma in Management Accounting. And finally, at the strategic level, that's where you start thinking like a CFO. In E3, you'll deal with PESTEL, SWOT, purpose, vision, value chain analysis, but all of these at a CFO or CEO level. In P3, you'll do a lot of risk, looking at things such as your risk maps, risk control, cyber risk, as well as strategic risk. In F3, you start looking at how to fund a business, how to take the business to the next level, looking at sources of long-term finance, mergers and acquisitions, and the like. And on completion of your final case study, your academic component of your studies is then done, and you just need to complete your proof of practical experience to be awarded your CGMA designation.
Thanks, Movie. That was a great overview. Now I'd like to take you through the different routes to completing the CIMA qualification. So a simple way to explain this is if you're coming from Joburg to Cape Town, you have got two ways of transport. You can come by bus or you can fly. So the FLP is the quickest route, and the bus route takes longer, but it's a very enriching way of completing your studies. So the traditional route, which is known as the PQ route, which stands for professional qualification, you have to work through 13 subjects and sit 13 competency exams or objective tests. You also sit 3 case study exams at the end of the professional levels. So if you're starting at the certificate level, there will be 16 exams in total, assuming you don't get any exemptions. And you have 10 years to complete all your exams. On the PQ route, you prepare for your exam any way you want to. You can do it on your own, use a friend's book. You can also join a study group, or you can join a college like ourselves. You can study online, offline, classes, hybrid, it doesn't matter. When you are ready, you simply book your exam. On the traditional route, you can buy 1 or 2 subjects at a time and buy your next subject once you pass your previous subject. It's like a pay-as-you-go arrangement. Now, on the FLP route, you only have to do the 3 case study exams. It means that you don't have to sit the 13 competency exams. Instead of these exams, you do continuous assessments on EP and F, that is, answer questions throughout your studies online to prove your competence, and you only sit the case study exams at the end of each professional level. On the FLP route, you cannot study on your own using textbooks and then just sit the exam. You have to sign up onto the FLP platform through a tuition provider and then complete your OT competencies on the CIMA FLP platform. On this platform, you will get all your study material, and interspersed in your study material are activities and questions in lieu of the exams you don't have to do. You will also find your case study prep material on this platform. On the FLP route, you pay for time. It's a subscription model, so you pay for access to all of the study material across all levels. And you have to study as much as you can in the time allocated. If you bought a 1-year subscription, you must be dedicated and try and get through as many subjects as possible. Now, FLP is a big cost upfront, while PQ or the traditional route, you can pay as you go. So a lot of students say, which do I recommend? And then I'm going to ask Muzi the same question. So on the traditional route, I feel you get more into the detail of the subjects. You learn more. It's probably because you're preparing for an exam. Because you know your subject content so well, your case study exam should technically be easier for you. With FLP, you don't write subject exams, so chances are you may battle when it comes to the case study exam because it draws on the EP and F subject knowledge. You just don't have the same foundation as the traditional route. However, we have included case study prep classes for our premium option to help you prepare. And I'm very excited tonight. You'll be the first where we are launching further FLP extensions, which is called FLP Skiller. Ultimately, it's much faster route, of course. So it's a difficult decision, I imagine. What's important to know is that whether you're doing CIMA on the traditional route or FLP, you both write the same case study exam. And when you are finished, you get the same CGMA designation, you get the same certificate. It doesn't say on one certificate FLP and one PQ, so you get the same qualification. But as I said, I'll be very curious to see, Muzi, what do you prefer?
Vanessa, I think I'd say what I like about FLP is that there are fewer exams and it looks like you'll be qualified faster. But what I like about the traditional route is that it's a lot more rigorous. You know, you're doing this qualification to pick up skills, to learn more and work better. With PQ, I believe you'll learn more and your work performance will be better for it.
With each route, there is a pressure point, eh? I think the FLP, the pressure point is at the case study exams because of the risk of not being familiar with the OT subjects as one needs to be.
Yeah. And with the traditional or the PQ route, the case study exam should be a lot easier for you. But the pressure points are definitely the OT exams, which you need to pass first.
So, Muzi, it's a personal decision which route is best for you, right?
Absolutely. And a financial decision, of course, because PQ is a bit lighter on the pocket, and you can also do it in smaller chunks, like one subject at a time, whereas FLP is a big upfront capital layout.
That's right. Not to mention, you need to stay committed for the duration of your subscription period on FLP. We're now going to get to the section that you've all been waiting for, exemptions. So hold your breath for a bit. I promise you I'm going to explain it.
So if you want to know what exemptions you can expect, please listen closely. If we don't cover it in the next few slides, then post it in the chat and we can give it to you at the end of the presentation.
So it's important to know that if you choose whether you choose the FLP or the PQ route, both routes start at the certificate level, unless obviously you have successfully applied for exemptions. You don't pay for exemptions based on your academic qualifications. So I mentioned that the exemption process has changed. Exemptions are now awarded based on 3 criteria. Your professional qualification, that is if you are a member of CICA, CIPA, ICB, or ACCA. Your educational qualification, that is exemptions based on your diploma or your degree, and your experience and role. Any relevant prior experience will count. So starting off with the professional qualification, this is, as I said, if you have a membership to CICA. If you are CICA qualified, you just have to do the strategic case study. If you are a member of CIPA and you are in good standing, you will start on the management level. ICB, you will be on the operational level, ACCCA management. So those are some examples of the professional qualifications. Now, this is when you need to wake up, and I'm sure you're all excited. These are the exemptions based on your educational qualification. Now, here it gets a little bit tricky. So this slide is showing your starting point, assuming your qualification is not older than 7 years. If it is older than 7 years, you are going to get bumped down a level. So assuming your qualification is within 7 years, you can see, for instance, I have got, I can show the first thing, UNISA, where we get a lot of qualifications. If you've got a plain BCom from UNISA, you will start on the operational level. If you have BCom accounting, BCom finance, BCom accounting science, you will be on the management level. If you have a postgrad, you will be on the management level. If you have an advanced diploma, you will be on operational. If you have a diploma in accounting science, you will be on operational. A BCom honors in financial management, you will start on the management case study if you're doing the traditional route, but for FLP, you will start on the management level. Because you only on FLP have to do the write the management case study as an exam. Then all the main universities like Cape Town, KZN, Wits, if you have a plain BCom, same story, operational level. BCom honors, same story, traditional route, management case study. The college IEE, which is like varsity college, if you have a plain BCom, same thing. There's a pattern developing. Can you see plain BCom operational, BCom finance, BCom accounting? You'll start on the management level. Okay, so those are the qualifications. Now, CIMA has a handy exemption calculator that I will get my colleague to put on the chat. You can go onto the exemption calculator and it will tell you where you're going to start at. Be careful when you enter it. When it asks you for your year's experience, there will be 2 blocks. Make sure you only fill in the top block. The second block is if you have lecture experience. Okay. So the third type of qualification is based on your experience and your role. So it's expedited pathway that gets you onto one of the 3 programs. Now, all of these 3 programs you pay for, okay? This has been aimed at people. For instance, someone could be acting as a CFO, did their BCom maybe 15 years ago and is now working as a CFO. They will recognize that experience and you'll only have to do the strategic case study, but you pay for that. So this, what I'm talking about now, you're going to pay on average between, 2,500 to 3,000 pounds. Okay. So the first one is the Elite Academy program. So that's if you have a PhD in accounting or business and more than 6 years training or research experience, then you just have to complete the strategic case study. The CFO program, which I told you about, that again, you just have to do the strategic case study, and then you have the senior executive program. If you are a senior manager with more than 6 years experience in accounting, finance, and business, you are eligible for the program and you will start at the management case study. So we can help you determine that. My colleague will just put in the chat, if you need help with exemptions, just email info@ibtc.co.za and our sales advisors will assist.
So, word of warning, if you have been exempted from a subject, CIMA assumes that your knowledge is good enough to have passed that subject and that you understand all the content in the way that CIMA has presented it. So before you accept all your exemptions, our advice is to go through the syllabus document and highlight areas that you don't feel comfortable with. If it's more than 40 or 50%, we would suggest you don't take the exemption. Rather spend sufficient time recapping that particular subject. Also, your case study exam requires thorough knowledge of the E, P, and F subjects at that particular level. Make sure there are no knowledge gaps. We recommend that you recap these subjects before starting your case study preparation. We have courses specifically for students who were exempted based on experience and level. Here we include the E, P, and F study material to help ensure that there are no knowledge gaps in those subjects.
Now, it's important to note when you apply for exemptions, the website, the exemption calculator that's on the CIMA website is a guide, right? Ultimately, your exemptions have to be approved by the South African exemption team. They obviously check that your certificate and transcripts are real. But however, assuming that you have submitted all the required material, I do find they're about 95% accurate. So if you are a new student and you want to register with CIMA, you first have to create a profile or log in onto their website. So your first job is to register an account on the CIMA Global website. The next step will be to register as a new student. This part is a little bit tricky as it's very easy to make the incorrect selections, resulting you starting on the wrong level. And it's always better to just check with us that you've entered on the right level. Please feel free to email info@ibtc.co.za. Our sales advisors will be waiting for you tomorrow morning to help you register and get you on the right track. Now, also one thing to note, when you register the first time and you deciding to go the traditional route, they force you to pay a registration fee as well as the first exam fee. So if you're starting operational, will be E1, management will be E2, and strategic will be E3. It will be BA1 if you are on the certificate level. Now, the reason why they do that, they are encouraging you to book your exam and actually write your exam. But just remember, your exam token is only valid for a year, as previously it was 2.
Wow, Vanessa, that's very complicated and quite a bit to remember.
Yes, we actually counted. I think there's 33 steps to register. So we at IBTC know all these steps off by heart. So again, I can't stress, come to us. We'd love to help you. Right, now that we've covered exemptions, we're now going to be looking at our study methods. When you're doing the traditional or the FLP route. So let's start off with the traditional route. When you study the traditional route with IBTC, you have the choice of attending virtual classes or doing an online course, or doing supported home study with us. Our virtual classes will start at I think about the 22nd of February, and we would recommend to hit the ground running. You can enroll now and study a few chapters prior to class. So it's a good time now to sign up with 1, maximum 2 subjects. Included in your class packages is 13 live online classes with your lectures 1 day a week in the evening from 6 to 8:30 p.m. You also have access to our online hub where you'll find recorded lectures by highly qualified UK lecturers. They have 100% syllabus coverage. It's like getting 2 lectures for the price of 1. We also have an online course starting every month for every subject. Here you'll get your hard copy and material sent to you via courier, and you get access to the online study material, video lectures and tests, but you are on a schedule. There's a fixed start date, a cohort of classmates, and a tutor is responsible for the pass rate of your class. You have to follow a fairly quick pace schedule, and you'll be exam ready in 10 to 12 weeks, guaranteed. So follow the steps and fail, then you come back for free. That's our pass assured promise. And then lastly, in the traditional route, we have our Home Study Plus package, and we deliver the books and other support material to your home and assign a home study support person to look after you and track your progress. The kicker is that we also give you access to the online video lectures. So it's like being in class, but in your pajamas. Some other things to know, these pre-recorded lectures are recording of, as I said, UK's best lectures, those with consistently high pass rates. There are also revision videos, which are much shorter than the lecture videos, ideal for those that of you are writing 2 weeks before the exams. So I hope this clarifies how the traditional course works.
If he does, I think it's actually a very nice way of explaining it, Vanessa.
Staying with the traditional route, let's look how to plan your studies. If you are preparing to write an OT exam and you want to come to your classes, we recommend that you don't do more than 2 subjects at a time. In fact, we actually recommend that you do 1 at a time. In this example, you are studying E1, but it could be BA1 or P2 or F3, and you are attending virtual classes, let's say on a Tuesday from 6 to 8:30 p.m. You come to class once a week for each of your subjects. We believe you never walk into a class cold. The session before class you use to prepare for the upcoming class. Then you attend class, and the following study session you consolidate and learn the work. You do this for 8 to 12 weeks. Some subjects are a bit harder. Maybe the book is just fatter or you're less familiar with the content. Then you can add another study session on a Sunday, for instance, to ramp up your study hours. With this aims to illustrate is how you plan your studies firstly, but it also tries to show that you cannot really fit in a 3rd subject, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job. First timers often make the mistake of taking too many subjects at once, and then they end up failing them all. I'm not saying it can't be done. Many students have successfully completed 3 subjects at once. It's just knowing what you're in for and being able to make the commitment.
So let's look at how you'd prepare for your case study exam. It doesn't matter if you're doing the PQ or the FLP route, both routes come together at the case study. My best advice is to always try and attend our case study exam prep classes. We have an almost 100% pass rate, and we only need 4 days to get you ready for your exam. Okay? So here's how we go about it. We recommend 100 hours to prepare for your case study exam. This is, of course, heavily dependent on how familiar you are with the underlying E, P, and F subjects. The most important thing to know is that the case study exam draws heavily on E, P, and F knowledge. But say you've completed your E, P, and F exams in the last 12 to 18 months, the information is still quite fresh and will come back quite quickly, then you'll typically not need more than 100 hours to prep for your case study exam. In week 1 and 2, you'll want to revise the EP and F subjects, ensuring that there are no knowledge gaps. Then you read through the pre-seen in quite a bit of detail in preparation for your first class. Week 3 and 5, you'll spend 2 weekends on our exam prep classes. Here we analyze the case study line by line, underline, make notes in the margin, refer to the most prevalent models like your SWOT, Mandela's matrix, Ansoff, value chain, 7 S's, and we'll do a mock exam. In weeks 4 and 6, you'll spend 2 weekends on question practice, filling in any knowledge gaps that were exposed in class and doing a final mock exam. And that's how we go about it.
That's great, Musi. Right, now we are going to go on to FLP. So let's look at what your study options are if you want to do the FLP route. With FLP, you don't have the option of doing your own thing. To do the FLP route, where you only have to do 3 exams to qualify, you have to study on the CIMA FLP platform. All the study material for all the levels are on the platform, and all the prep material for all the case studies are on this platform. You simply have to buy a subscription and work through the competency questions as quickly as possible to unlock the next case study. So if you work really fast and you pass the case study exam first time, you can work through all the levels in little as a year. Although most students starting on operational level will do it over 2 years. As I mentioned earlier, you have to buy your subscription through an accredited tuition provider like IBTC. We sell it in standard and premium package. Standard is buying access on the FLP platform. As standard, FLP always includes the following registration and subscription fees, which can be 1, 2, or 3 years. It includes your online material and questions, your case study prep material and mocks. You have unlimited tutor support by email, and you have 6 exam tokens. There's 2 per level. FLP Premium came about because students asked us if they can attend our case study exam prep classes, which you will have a top lecturer like Musi to do your case study class. So we've included 6 opportunities to attend our classes, 2 per level. So you basically get a rewrite for each case study, and you can come to our classes, case study classes, with someone like Musi twice, if need be. Now, international research has shown that the operational level of FLP has the lowest pass rate because this level is very technical compared to the management and the strategic level. Also, if you are on the operational level, it will be the first time you will be doing a case study. So you may find this daunting at first. We have taken all of this into consideration, and I'm so excited to let you know you are the first that we will be launching our latest edition, FLP Skill Up. FLP Skill Up is a product extension to the FLP program designed to improve student pass rates through additional focused learning support. We have Skill Up per level. They will differ. The management and the strategic skill up is the same, but the operational level is different. So the FLP skill up operational level consists of 9 competency-based classes covering topics from each of the competencies. This is designed to ensure students are fully equipped for the operational case study. Each class is 2.5 hours. It's held weekly over 9 weeks, leading up to the case study exam prep classes. The program runs 4 times a year, and it takes 3 months to complete per cycle. You can only start FLP Skill Up in March, June, September, and December each year. Now, guess what? The next ideal start date is March, and that's when we'll be launching Skill Up. So if you would like a 1-year FLP, please email info@IBTC. We will set up a Teams call, take you through the FLP portal, and you can start in March. I just want to let you know, and this is not us, it's CIMA, we have to submit our orders by the end of January. So if you want to start in an ideal start date, which I'm going to explain a little bit detailed shortly, we have to have full payment by the end of January. Now, you have to still complete all your competencies on the portal, but classes will prep you for the case study and make sure that you have a thorough technical foundation of the competencies. Now, we've also developed FLP Skill Up for the management and the strategic level, which is different to the operational level as it's less technical. The product extension includes access to the pre-recorded lectures, videos for the pillar subjects, and mock exams. So, for example, P2 is the hardest subject in CIMA. Excuse me. So if you are battling with a particular section, let's say activity-based costing, you can go to the lecture on that specific subject, listen to this, and improve your knowledge for the case study exam. There's also mock exams for each pillar, EP and F, which you can do, which will give you the confidence to really know the subject. Now, don't be alarmed if you fail the mock exam. It just highlights the areas you need to improve on, and then you can brush up on just those specific areas on the FLP portal, and you will be in a far better situation when you join the case study class. Now, let's have a look at how to plan your FLP studies. If you are starting on the management level of FLP, you only need to buy a 1-year subscription. You should be able to complete 2 levels in 1 year. So let me show you how. Now, this is illustrative. If you start on the management level, and let's say you're going to start the first week of March, for example, which is an ideal start date. Sorry, your first case study opportunity will be in May. You may not be ready to sit your first case study in May, as CIMA recommends 75 hours study time for each of the EP and F subjects. So you can possibly aim for the August case study. Then you can do E3, P3, and F3 in preparation for the November and the February case study, which is still within a 1-year FLP. So that's 2 levels in a year with 1 or 2 months to spare. The ideal start dates, as I've said, are in March, in June, September, and December. So you are almost ready right now. If you sign up and pay by the end of January, you can start at the first ideal start date, which is the first week of March. And if you're starting on the operational level, you can join FLP Skill Up. Plus, you'll be having case study classes with someone like Muzi. So you have your best chance then of passing. Muzi, talking about, I said that FLP you have to pay up front. Can you talk a little bit about our finance options?
Sure, Vanessa, and I think I've seen a few questions about it as well. But we have 2 finance options for you. If you're on PQ, you will buy 1 or 2 subjects at a time. These typically range from about 4,000 Rand to 8,000 Rand, depending on the subject and the study method. You can use IBTC's payments plan to pay for your studies, which is interest-free. You pay a small deposit and the rest you can put on a debit order for 4 months. This, unfortunately, is not available for FLP. The FLP route is substantially more expensive at about 62,500 all the way up to 160,000 Rand. But remember that you can get through the full qualification in 2 years. To pay for your FLP studies, you can take out a study loan with our loan partner, Study Hero. You can pay over a longer period than you can with IBTC, which also reduces the monthly installments. They use an easy-to-use desktop app in order to do your application and have a quick turnaround.
Thanks, Muzi. Again, we can assist you to get onto Student Hero and see what competitive loan rate they may offer you. We also have a open day experience